In Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that crowler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
And we are live, episode 165, Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. In studio today, no guests, no Nick. It is just me, Rob, and Matt. Just the three of us.
You and I.
Don't ever try to sing that, please.
Rob, the resident.
Will Smith
Yeah.
aficionado?
Well, I don't think that's Will Smith, technically.
No,
Just the two of us?
He did sing that song on the album, but
Yeah,
it's not his song, no.
Yeah, that's not his song. That belongs to the immortal Bill Withers. Let's get your shit right.
I just know Will Smith sang it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, you know what? I was making sure everything was good to go today. We have a brand new laptop in the studio. Obviously, after last week's fiasco of the laptop dying in front of us, I do not have a beer poured. So if you don't mind, Matthew, can you pour me a full glass of that delicious Grand River Brewery Small Town Brown?
So we're just going to start with your keto thought. We're going full cup this time?
Full cup, yeah.
Okay.
I'm very, very close to one of my goals. I'm almost under 300, which I started the journey at 360.
Well done.
And I don't think I'm going to get to like under 300 by Sunday before I leave to Boston. So I'm just going to kind of enjoy a nice full glass of beer.
Okay, well, I'll put the upbringings closer to you.
Well,
I'll
you
take some of that.
you guys are more than welcome to have some of that. So that's from Grand River. Stopped in there today. I was in Portage, and on the way back in Jackson, I stopped again at Grand River. Very, very big place over there. And they have a full distillation menu, like in regards to liquor. I believe it's their own distillery. I didn't get a chance to kind of look over there, but they have a full-size menu, full-size beer list, a giant beer list, to be honest. Have you guys ever been to Grand River Brewery?
No.
Grand River or Grand Armory?
No, Grand River.
Grand River.
I think I picked up. Don't they have a sign on 94 that says top rated IPA?
Possibly. I don't know. It's literally one of the Jackson exits.
I think I've drank that IPA that they touted as greatest IPA ever.
I know one of their big beers is the 313 Polish Lager.
I've seen that all over the place.
Yep. So that's one of their distro beers. And I know a lot of people enjoy that, which is definitely a very big call to like that Polish style, European style lager, like a Okchim or a Zwyczek.
Tiski.
I've never had Tiski.
So good.
I'll have to go over to one of the Polish stores and get it.
Where's the Tuna Liquor?
Does the Tuna Liquor carry it?
Probably.
I will ask. Well, I'm sure Jack can get it if I want it anyways. He'd be like, I can only buy, like, he buys 5 cases. I buy 1 6-pack. The rest sits there for years.
He can
Never
buy
did he buy it.
many as little as he wants.
Yes, he can. So I am drinking the Small Town Brown. Matt, what do you got?
I think they want to get rid of me because they got rid of their Diet Vernors, so I'm just drinking the regular Vernors. Marginally disappointed, but I guess I'm going to have a sugar rush. I hope it's not like full sugar rush. But
Well,
yeah.
the Diet Werner still has, some type of sugar in it.
Yeah, but
Sugar light.
regular Vernors is like rocket fuel compared to Diet Vernors.
Is it how much sugar is in there?
I'll be honest, I have no idea. 38 grams of sugar.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's probably... Oh, and 39 carbs. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, most carbs is sugar. It's either sugar or dietary fibers. So
yeah, so that'll be a fun little one. I'll probably switch over to water here shortly. And then, I got the standard PBR. Got a lot. I think I've got to lobby them to maybe bring in the Busch Light. PBR has always been like, fine, I'll have a PBR to me. So
it's like when there's no like light or economic beers, it's the PBR that's the hipster level
yeah, it's
beer.
just like whatever, I'll take it. So, I'm just kind of cruising. What about you, Rob? What are you putting in your face hole?
Are you cruising down the street in 064?
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
That's how easy does it.
Yeah, supposedly. But I've got myself a outside whatchamacallit. I always forget it's the Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Mine Mocha, which is I actually meant to grab the 2016 bottle that I still had. Oh, wait a minute. No, this is the 18. Damn. I meant to grab the 2016 bottle. I was about to be very surprised with the amount of heat that was on his bottle if this was still the 16, because those were infected that year, allegedly.
Nobody would sell me their bottles for $1 a bottle.
Right.
Crazy.
But got the bourbon barrel aged Imperial Mine Mocha, and it is definitely it's got some fire to it.
I was gonna say, yeah, I would have expected the heat to have fallen off after what 2.5 years, almost 3 years,
something like that. Yeah. So I'll have to grab that one for like next week or something. And then obviously the Grand River Brewery, the Small Town Brown. Which I haven't tried that sucker yet.
Yeah, this is I had it before I bought it because it was an American style brown, and I'm usually really iffy on American style browns because they're typically a little more dry, a little more bitter, a little more hoppy. So I don't tend to like them because they're not as nutty. They're not as more. Yeah, they're not as your typical brown. When you think of a brown ale, you think of Bell's Best, or you think of Bel Air Brown, or even Maduro, or something national like Newcastle.
Right.
In regards to you can get it across the nation, not national as in it brews here in Michigan or
No,
the
I
U.S.
understand what you're saying. You know, stateswide.
Stateswide, yeah, you can get it anywhere. So that's when I think of a brown ale, I always think of an English style. But this right here, definitely a little more nuttier. You could definitely taste the hops and the bitterness inside of it, but it's not that bad. I do want to try. I did see Urban Rest posted that they have an India brown ale, which I would assume kind of harkens towards the Dogfish Heads IBA that they sell. So that might be a trip to Urban Rest before I leave for Boston on Sunday.
That's just right down the street, right?
It is right down the
All
street.
right,
Yes.
maybe we could finish there.
I mean, that actually, I don't know. I've never actually heard of that before.
An India brown ale or Urban Rest's India.
I know of. Yeah, I should have specified. An India brown ale. That is new to me.
Yeah, Dogfish Head's been producing one for at least over a decade. I used to get it at the Melting Pot in Troy because I used to work in that building. And whenever it was somebody's birthday, as a manager, I would take them down and give them a birthday drink for dinner. Like, usually they get the birthday drink. Usually I then send them home. Like, hey, you can go home for the rest of the
Thanks
day.
for drinking us. They're driving.
Well, a drink, not many drinks, not getting hammered itself.
So I mean, what's the difference?
Sounds like it would be hoppier.
It
does.
It's a little more hoppier, a higher ABV than your standard brown ale. So it's probably more like an American style brown ale.
Okay.
That's really the best way to describe it. Again, you're going to get a lot more ABV inside of it, a lot more kick than a standard brown. Because when I think of browns, I think of crushable beers that I can drink throughout the entire day without any issues and getting bored of the flavor. Because I think it packs a lot of flavor and enough flavor to not just consistently have that like I feel like I could always get sick of a pastry stout, or like for me, I opened a bottle of Big Grizz and I couldn't even finish it because I'm kind of bored of it after a while.
I'm getting that same way. It was I bought 3 bottles of Big Grizz and I loved Big Grizz, and I was over at Steve's party store over in Hamtramck, and he had those suckers sitting on clearance for $3.99. I'm like, I can't pass this up. I had to grab them, and I cracked open that first bottle, and it was nothing like I had remembered what it was.
To be honest, at $3.99, if it's was it a bomber or was it?
Yeah, it was a bomber.
Yeah, at $3.99, I would have taken poured myself a pint, and I would have been happy with pouring out the rest at that price point because the beer is really good. But again, I just get bored of it after a while.
I mean, I think browns are kind of boring, to be honest. I think that's why it's imperative to find a quality brewery or beer bar where they have a big selection, so where you can have 2 beers of something and then switch it to something else. And then if you really like the beer that you started with, be it a brown or an IPA, you go back to that after you've cleansed your palate and put something else in your mouth. Like one of the breweries I go to, they have a decent cider on tap, which is always a great palate cleanser because whether it's an IPA or a brown, a cider is just so dynamically different from any of the beer,
Right.
that it just it refreshes you because I don't know about you, but just malt on malt on malt on malt just kind of kills me. Just like I'm sure hops on hops, whatever would hurt you, bore you.
I just wouldn't even bother with a hoppy beer in the first place.
Or like a
I
pale
can't-
ale, or that's just like, or even a cream ale. How about that?
See, I love cream ales though. Like I could.
This guy's impossible today.
Mine is obviously the barrel aged beers. Like I can only drink so much of like bourbon flavor, bourbon style, or sweet style, like something really sweet. Again, like a pastry stout or.
But I think browns are typically overly sweet sometimes
I
because they typically have too much of the toffee caramely biscuity flavor as like a finish to them, to where I feel like I might as well be having a butterscotch or something.
I disagree because I just think most candy, like for me, like I can't stomach most candy. Like I can't eat. You give me a Hershey's bar and I could barely even finish like a third of it or a quarter of it just because I can't eat that type of sweetness. Like the most sweetness I can get to is very like a fruit sweet. Like that's really the only kind of sweet that I get is like a fruit
tart
sweet.
sweet then.
Not even necessarily a tart sweet. Like the most sugar, like even prior to keto sans beer, most sugar intake for me was fruit. Like I never ate chocolate. I don't eat candy bars. I don't eat cake or ice cream or anything like that. Like I simply I don't mind the flavor of sweetness, but I hate the taste of sugar. Like it just always feels, especially the older ciders prior to like cideries being really big around here.
Yeah.
When you would get a Angry Orchard or it just tasted like I felt like my entire body was filling with sugar. Like I was getting diabetes right on the spot. Just from drinking ciders. So it was crazy to think now that I can go to Sellerman's and get any of their ciders and it doesn't taste that way. And it's crazy. Like the ciders and the way ciders are being made currently is a lot better, in my opinion, than getting that Angry Orchard or whatever that off the shelf cider is. Especially for me, again, the guy that just doesn't eat sweets. Like I got this way because of beer, pizza, and burgers.
Cool.
So I wanted to bring something up, and because we don't have a guest today, so we're going to do a lot of topics. But one of the things, especially being in the industry that I'm in the restaurant industry, I do point of sale, I noticed there are a lot of things, taboos, if you will, in regards to the restaurant industry. And a lot of things that we do that we think are good that aren't, and things that we should do that we should never actually do for a server itself. I realize that I have, looking on the Instagrams itself, I have Matt over Rob and Rob under Matt, so I got to fix that in a second. What is like Matt, you've been bartending a little bit lately.
Yeah.
Like, do you have something that like you wish you could tell people? Hey, you need to do this, or hey, you should think about how you're doing. While I fix this real quick.
No, you're fine. I think it's more on the other end. I think, how do I put this? I think when you're in a bartending capacity, especially in a beer bar or a brewery, there's kind of more of an imperative on that individual to sell and educate and communicate than there would be if you're just at an Applebee's or TGI Fridays and you're making pre-mixed drinks.
Well, most Applebee's TGI Fridays, unless like during the Applebee's like $2 drink of the month is that they probably do a lot of premix. Most of those bars still make the drinks as you go in there. It just doesn't taste that way because a lot of them, first of all, have such specific pours in regards to they have control over everything. So it almost tastes like you're getting the same drink when really they just have full control. They're not using, necessarily jiggers, but they're using specific caps that only pour a certain amount, like an ounce or an ounce and a half.
The ball caps.
Exactly. So
I guess my thought is you can go to an Applebee's and say, give me a vodka cranberry or a vodka Red Bull. Like when you go to a craft brewery, you get a lot of regulars, but you also get a lot of people who don't go there, who have never been there.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's imperative that you talk to them and find out what kind of beers they like and really try to find their palate on, the chalkboard, if you will, and really talk to somebody, educate them. And a lot of times, somebody has never had craft beer. They're just being dragged there because they're friends. So I take that as a fun little challenge of finding something that person didn't think they were going to like because of either the color or the style or whatnot, and making them, really like something.
So I'm going to go over a bunch of other things in regards to not necessarily taboos, but see if you guys have broken these restaurant sins as a customer.
I'm sure I have all of them.
Sounds like a game of never have I never.
Never have I never. I've done it all the time. So
If we put our fingers out now, and then like loser has the most, or the winner has the least amount of fingers up.
All right.
What was the latest you've showed up to a restaurant prior to them closing? Like 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 1 minute before?
Probably as they were closing.
As they were closing.
But probably not
Damn.
knowing that they were about to close.
Okay, so you walked in, not realize that they were closing. Did you stay and eat, or did you leave?
Oh no, you never order food at that hour.
Okay.
No, you're plus it's like 2:00 in the morning, so You're just like, give me a shot and a beer, and I'll help you put chairs up and mop, and then I'll get out of here.
Oh, so you're talking a bar? Like I'm talking like a full service restaurant, even like going to a say for instance going to something that closes at midnight. Like the bar and the kitchen closes both at midnight, and you show up at 11:55.
I don't know if I'm that cold blooded.
I don't think you do it on purpose, but
I've definitely been to a bar right before closing, not knowing they were about to close. Like a lot of bars close at like midnight or 1.
Yeah.
And you think they're going to open till 2, so you feel like you can go get one more, and you're walking in and they're, cleaning tables thinking, oh, we're done for the night. I think everyone's done that. I don't know if I've ever walked in at even 10 o'clock to try to get a meal at a full-service bar restaurant.
That is one thing. So in regards to restaurants, if you guys look at the timing and stuff, you should always show up no later than a half hour before they close. So if their kitchen closes at 11, you shouldn't be now. If they're a bar and their kitchen closes at 11, that's different than showing up at a restaurant that closes at 11 at 10:55.
Right.
It's kind of a lot of things that you talk about. To be honest, the movie Waiting is what waitresses like wait staff want to tell you, but they can't.
Still need to see that.
I've seen that movie so many times. I could literally act it out for you.
So yeah, never show up like 20 minutes, 25 minutes before a restaurant closed. Now I showed up almost an hour before a restaurant closed, and they said, "Oh, we won't serve you." And I'm like,
hour?
Yeah, an hour. They closed at 8.
Have
I
you
got
been
there
drinking?
at 7. No.
Okay.
No. It was a Kirby's. They closed at 8.
Coney?
Yeah, a Kirby's Coney. I showed up at 7, a little after 7. They closed at 8, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're not."
What kind of Coney Island closed at 8?
This was the one in
New Year's Eve?
Technically
Or not-
in Troy,
Christmas Eve?
across from Oakland Mall.
Oh, yeah. I know
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so have you guys? Oh, go on.
So, I mean, I basically, it's like if they close within a half hour, then I'm turning around. I'm not gonna put that on them. I mean,
And this isn't you accidentally walked in, realized
like there's been some times where I've walked in, it's like, oh shit, y'all closing in half an hour. All right, you know what? Y'all have a good night. But I've never done anything like that, intentionally to say, you know what? No, yeah, it's gonna make me a grinder. I don't care.
No,
I'm hungry.
I worked in a kitchen one time, and the wedding party was just so out there. They did a conga line through the kitchen, like in the indoor, around the wait station, out the outdoor. Literally 50 people strong at once, and I was like, oh, man, we're trying to get out of here. You guys are shaking your asses at my dishwashing station.
Out.
So one of the things that people want to tell you, especially bartenders, is that if you are there, say you're sitting at the bar waiting for a table, or you're sitting at the bar waiting for friends before you go to a table, whether you're waiting because there's so many, you just have a queue in front of you, or you're waiting for people to come in, you should always close your bar tab before you go and sit down. Never ask to transfer it.
Definitely.
Now, the reason for that is that whenever you transfer a ticket like that, so say for instance you have 2 beers and you move it over to that table, that bartender now just lost that tip for those drinks that they served you. Mm-hmm. So in regards to the culture that we're in right now, you have to think, okay, if I'm tipping, I need the money to go to the appropriate person. So you should always close your bar tab before you go and you sit down,
Or leave your tip at the bar.
Oh yeah, or leave a tip at a bar.
Yeah.
You could do cash or anything like that. So you can, it's something you have to think about in regards to, where is your money going? Where is your money allocated? And if I'm sitting at the bar, this person's serving me, you should always close out your tab before going.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people don't do that because they're, sitting waiting, or, they grab a glass of wine while they're waiting for their table. Just make another transaction. They don't mind cashing you. They definitely don't mind cashing you out because then they know they're getting their tip.
No. That was actually the one of the restaurants that Dean and I had went to for our anniversary. It's a small little place. It's in Detroit. It's on Woodward. I can't remember what the name of it is. But they were busy. We ended up sitting at the bar. I ended up having a drink while we were sitting there, just kind of sitting there talking and whatnot. And then, when our table opened, closed the tab, gave him the tip. And then it's like you said, just go ahead and just start a whole new bill. Because, I mean, hell, that's it just seems completely unfair that, you've got this wait staff that is working their ass off and they're working for you to get you drinks, and then you transfer your bill over. And I mean, maybe they have this communal tipping where they get a percentage of it. So
Well,
they don't.
no.
I've
So
always heard of
there's-
like places that were
there-
like that.
Wait staff should be tipping out their bartenders anyways.
So we're going to get to all that.
Okay.
There's more stuff that you guys should know. But in regards to it, a lot of bartenders communal tip with each other.
Correct.
So every bartender, say you have 3 behind a bar, they'll
Yeah.
all share all their bar tips together. So if the 3 of us were working behind a bar, I made 100 on my checks, Matt made 80, you made 60, we'd all walk out with 80. So that's kind of what happens. There's also pool tips where they'll pool tip, say, servers or even the entire restaurant and just have the restaurant as a collective. But that's really, really rare in regards to the restaurant collectively
think it's becoming illegal
sharing
too,
tips.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because a lot of people think of it almost as stealing.
well,
Like
and
you're-
also because if it goes against you still have to make a certain minimum wage even if you're doing a tipping.
Yeah.
You still have to average over an X amount, even if your minimum wage is like $2.65. I think there's still an obligation to, on average, tip out included be around like $10 an hour, $8 an hour. So there's kind of a
you still have to be what the minimum wage is for a non-tipped employee.
correct
Right.
words.
Well, it's a lot different when you're in the industry because again, nobody really kind of knows. And one of the big things that people talk about, and I know all of us know this person where they ask for a stronger drink than a normal. Like, can you make it really strong, or those kinds of things? Just ask for a damn double.
Right.
Like, is it really that hard? I mean, we've all grown up. We've all gone to those college bars where people feel like you're getting short poured, but really you're probably not. You're probably just an alcoholic who makes their own drinks and doesn't know how to properly make your own.
Stop
drink.
making fun of me.
Are you a little triggered here?
I feel like there's just like nothing but a placebo effect in there. I mean, they're just like, okay, make it strong, and the bartender's just going to have their back and they're just going to make it the way it's normally made. I mean, why make it stronger and waste more alcohol for a drink that you're going to get the same amount of payment for?
Well, can I also put a
That is, of course, unless they actually ask for a double.
Well, yeah. If they ask for a double, you
Yeah,
give
you
them a
ask for a
double.
double. You give them a double. You charge double.
there is a caveat there. Again, going back to the bartender's obligation, if you work in an establishment that charges for ice, then like a rocks charge, that needs to be clarified as well. Because you get a whiskey, and if it's neat, it's like $6. But if it's got rocks in it, it's $6.50. Because you've got to compensate the amount of
So
liquor that's
typically for a rocks pour, in regards to the information from what I do and where I work, typically a rocks pour is a little bigger pour too. Depending on what a restaurant deems as rocks, quote unquote. So a whiskey on the rocks, like a whiskey and ice, sure may only be a 1.5 ounce pour, but a whiskey rocks pour usually might be 1 3/4 or even a 2 ounce pour, just to compensate for the ice, watering down. So it kind of depends on what kind of bar. So I do see what you're saying, but there are some restaurants that consider rocks as a bigger pour as opposed to just adding ice. Now I agree with you in regards to adding ice. There is a bar over in Fraser on 14 Mile. Used to be called JD's. Used to be called Hofbrau.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
next to El Charo.
oh my god.
This place charges for mixers, and not like Red Bull or juice, like soda mixers.
So that's why they went out of business all the time. Huh?
Well, this is a new business. So if you want a Jack and Coke, a Jack is $7, Coke is 50 cents.
I suppose that makes sense.
That's
There's
fair.
industry standard,
I'm
but
okay
that
with
is
that.
not industry standard at all.
For some reason, I'm actually okay with that.
I'd be okay with it once. But just like every place where you get free soda refills because it's 10 cents.
Right.
I'd be okay with it once, just like I guess a rocks pour charge.
A soda charge, like a one-time
Once I mean,
50 cent. And
if you
then
go to
that's not how that happens, though.
okay,
Like they're going to charge you the 50 cents every single time. So to be honest, you probably should order shots of Jack and a soda,
yeah, there we
and
go.
then ask for a refill of the Coke.
straw it in.
That's actually not a bad. I feel like I'm like gaming the system, but they're trying to definitely game you in regards to what they're doing.
Right.
Well, if they're charging 50 cents for a chaser of Coke, how much are they charging for a full?
I don't know.
actual pool.
I do not know at all. What's the longest you guys have ever been inside a restaurant or a bar?
Like as a patron or working?
As a
there?
patron. What is the longest you've ever been inside a bar? Now, this could be for a sporting event. This could be for let's sans an all-night party type event, like a St. Patrick's Day or a day before Thanksgiving or a New Year's Eve. So reasons why you would stay inside a bar.
I mean, not even for, St. Patty's Day or New Year's have ever been, more than 2 hours. But I'd probably say the longest I think I've ever been in a bar. It's funny because the one thing that's kind of popping in my head, 1995, Game 7, Pistons Spurs.
95?
95?
2005.
2005. You're right.
like,
I was like, why was I thinking? Yeah, I'm in the wrong. Shit, I'm in the wrong millennium.
The wrong millennium.
Oh. No. Yeah. So it was like that Game 7. We got there. It was like me and my buddy Sean. Shout out Sean Anderson. I think he's watching right now. We got there. Oh my God! I felt like we got there like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours before the game because it was free for all seating at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and we just got there, hung out, ate, watched a game, and then kind of shot the shit for a little bit, and then once the game was over, then we were out of there. But I'd probably say, all said and done, we were probably in there for like something like 4 hours.
Now, did you tip based on how long you stayed at that table, or did you tip based on what your meal was?
That was the early 2000s, and at that point, I was a cheap motherfucker. So so back then I was not known as a very good tipper. My friends used to always call me very cheap. I always said that it always turned out that the money that I gave into the pot had the tip, and somebody else shorted it, therefore making the tip less.
Oh.
There's an Amazon joke in there.
I was like Marion Barry. My ass was getting set up. It was some bullshit.
What about you, Matt? I mean, you're a big sports guy, so obviously I would think you've been at bars for long periods of time. Maybe a March Madness Saturday or Thursday even, like, the day one where games start from at like 10 a.m.
That is all day right there.
I really see those are the events that I would host typically. Because I would get a keg and have everybody come over and people would file in and out just because I hate to go to crowded bars more than anything. Because I always thought it was smarter, especially in college, where people are young and dumb, to try to control those around you as much as possible. If you go to a loud, crazy bar, you don't know who's there. But if you're having a house party, for the most part, you know who's there and you can control who is and isn't there. I think, the only real event that comes to mind, because typically I bar hop. I'm a much bigger proponent of bar hopping. Would have been, I was watching a Tigers game at Dragonmead with a friend of mine, and it was one of Justin Verlander's almost no-hitters. And I wanted to leave. I think we had watched the whole game, and I wanted to leave at like the 5th or 6th inning. But my friend literally said to me, he's like, you realize he hasn't thrown a hit yet? I'm like, yeah, or he isn't allowed to hit yet. He's like, you're not going anywhere. We're either going to ride this out and watch it, but you're not going to be the one that ruins this no-hitter by you leaving.
So your friend believes in like all of the jinxes by mentioning he has a no-hitter and saying you're not leaving because you might jinx him.
Well, I just know. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take off.
He jinxed it already with that.
I don't know. I mean, it might have been an inference. Like, you realize what's happening right now. You're not going anywhere.
How many bar stools was Justin Verlander sitting on that day?
I think he was 5 or 6 deep when it happened, and he went 8 or 9 strong. I think he gave up 1 or 2 hits.
I mean, not as close as Armando Galarraga got, though.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, almost.
Still too soon.
But that would have been, I don't know, 2012 or 13. 2011 probably.
Okay.
The summer of. But yeah, I mean, if you talk about how long have you partied at a house party or how long have I been
at a restaurant. At a restaurant, a bar,
that would have been
brewery.
dragging me, yeah, 2-3 hours.
Okay.
But I don't, because I get antsy. I want to go do something.
Okay, that's very, very fair. So when you're ever at a bar or a restaurant, a brewery, anything like that, and you're staying for a long time and you're taking up a server's table or a seat at the bar, you have to be mindful, especially if you're not drinking. Like, for instance, if you stop drinking so you can drive, obviously be safe, be smart. Somebody else should pick up your part of that tip for, sitting in that seat. But you should always tip based on how long you've been there too. So, a 20% tip is industry standard wherever you're going, but it should be more if you're there for a long period of time, especially if because that server is not changing that table. So that server has that table that night. They're not getting anybody else sitting at that table. So they might be getting other people into the restaurant, but they're sitting in other sections, sitting at other, bar brewery sections. Now, if you're at some little like podunk mom and pop shop where there's one server and that's it, and you're not wasting, anybody's time or anything like that, you're sitting there drinking coffee. First, you should always, be tipping based on how long you've been there too. But, you have to be conscious and mindful that you're taking up a table in their section. Right. And you have to know, okay, I'm taking up their table, I'm taking up their section, I'm taking up their ability to make more money because I'm sitting here ordering a $3 Bud Light, which 20% of $3 is 60 cents. And when we get into a lot of tipping questions, and we've talked tipping on the show before, when you order food and you order booze and stuff, usually you just do 20% on that as opposed to the dollar per drink that a lot of people do normally if you're just drinking, $1 per drink.
Right.
I mean, how do you guys tip? Like, do you have rules in regards to your head? Like, is it always 20% or is it $1 per drink, or is it depending on how, expensive the drink is too? Cause
it does. It definitely can, the cost of the drink can definitely bring the percentage down. Depending on what I'm doing, whether or not I'm just having drinks or if I'm eating as well. Usually these days, like food and drink, I'll probably put it at somewhere around, we'll say it's closer to 30%. In some cases, like when I'm hosting trivia on Mondays and I just have like one drink, usually I'll take that percentage up a little bit higher. Just because it's just that one drink, even though it may be a little bit more. Because basically, I had a hop slam. It was $8. I tipped her $5. So just,
that's a lot a bit more.
That's a lot a bit more.
Now he's just bragging on the radio after.
I was going to say, because as a trivia host, you're not taking up a seat that wouldn't be there. In fact, you're bringing people in to stay for a few hours.
Right.
And that as a trivia host, I would always be like, hey guys, you've been here for 2.5, 3 hours. Make sure you're tipping well. And to be honest, especially for the it's really, really weird because the nice summer nights were dead, but like the second it would drop to like 70 or 60, my entire bar would be packed.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if there was a Tigers game on, didn't matter if there was a big sports game, like no matter what, like either it was 60 or like anywhere from like 20 to 60, my bar was packed. Anything below 20, it was a crapshoot. Anything above 60, it was a crapshoot. Yeah. So we would never have like a true waiting list because I think people would walk in, realize the place is packed, and just walk right out. Because I was at Muldoon's over in Rochester Hills, which is right by downtown Auburn Hills. So you can go to the couple bars that are in downtown Auburn Hills, but it was also a Thursday night. So, at that point, what's going on? But when I hosted like the Friends trivia or the office trivia over at One Eye Betty's, and people are sitting there for 5 hours, 5.5 hours, like you need to make sure you tip. I'm like, you've been here for 5.5 hours. These people are still working. Make sure you tip them, 30, 35%. Definitely. And you just need to be conscious of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I just feel like, when I'm hosting and there's, 50, 60 people that are sitting there playing trivia, and there's maybe there's two servers, but in some cases it happens where there only is one. And for them to give me some attention as well, especially when I've subbed for other hosts where I've walked in and the servers pretty much just treat me like I'm just an employee and they don't even offer me water.
That's the benefit of the microphone. I'd be like, hey, can I get a beer? They used to do that all the time.
I feel like I shouldn't have to do that.
I agree, but I understand where you're going from. They feel like you're part of the crew, you're part of the thing, to where
you're holding down that shift.
Yeah, to be honest, I think they'll feel like you'll ask for something when you want something, or you'll go to the bar yourself when you want something.
You know the drill.
Yeah.
If I'm subbing in a place that I've never been in before,
Staff
I
shots.
don't know the drill. But the only drill I know is the instructions I've been given as far as where I'm supposed to set up, who the manager is in case I need to talk to somebody, and that's about it. So I mean, I've shown up as places. I like top of my head, like first place I could think of. I mean, it's good now, but like one of the first times I hosted trivia at Hamlin Corner over in Royal Oak was just like straight walked in there. They told me where I needed to set up, and then no one came over. And
What's a different reason? It's Royal Oak. It's a different reason.
That's well,
Exactly.
So, Mark Logus, friend of the show from Old Nation, wants you to produce a receipt for your $5 tip on an $8 hop slam there, Robert.
yeah, I can do that.
So, two more things I want to go kind of before we go to break, depending on how long these things go. I got a list, by the way, so we can keep talking for hours with this, apparently. One thing you should never do is stack your plates. And this is a weird thing that a lot of, like, there's servers...
I still do it.
There's servers that believe in it, that there's servers that don't. And the reason that a lot of people don't is that if you stack your plates, even if you finish eating and start stacking, to a manager, and especially if you get like a prick of a manager, it looks like you're not giving them attention because they've had time to stack their plates. And it looks like as a manager to a server, you see, now you're like, man, now I don't want to do it anymore.
No, it's not that. I still want to do that because I mean, if I'm especially if I'm at a table, I tend to go toward booths more than tables, and sometimes those booths don't have enough room for my big ass. And you know, when there's me and there's like my wife, our kids, and there's all these plates that are sitting there in a Coney Island, I fucking needs room. So I want to be able to just sit there and kind of put my elbows on the table or whatnot, and I want plates out of the way. So if I'm done, I'm probably still going to stack them.
Now, if you do decide to stack plates, you should never stack like napkins in the middle or food in the middle. Like you should clear up the plates before you stack them, because it is just a pain in the ass, especially for the dishwasher to go through to try to manage everything, because again, you're stacking it your way as opposed to the restaurant way. So always make sure, you know, like the food's on the top, all the silverware is together if you were to continue to do it. But you have to be mindful, like if it's been a while, especially to a manager, like if the manager doesn't know and they just see a stack of plates and then they look back a minute later and the stack of plates is still there, they're going to think that the server's not paying attention to you, when really it's true, they have been. And it's something just to be mindful and understanding when you're doing that. Like, do you stack plates, Matt, or do you just be like,
I don't think so. I'll put my napkin on the plate when I'm done, but I think I'm more cognizant because having worked in the restaurant industry, the most frustrating thing is when you drop something and it breaks and everybody in the bar goes, "Hey-o!"
yeah, the claps.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
the claps. That's definitely my father.
So what I try to do is I wait for the server to come and say, "Can I clear the plate?" And I say, "Yeah, can I help you? Can I?" Like, I let them grab the first plate and like I gently put the plate on top so they can work with their two hands, because a lot of times they're busting multiples.
And speaking of the opposite, never grab something off of a server's tray.
Yeah.
Never ever do that.
I can't even come up with an example as to why.
Well, you can see when a server's struggling with the weight or something like that, but if you mess something up, like you change the equilibrium,
counterbalance.
yeah, you've ruined it to where they know exactly which item they want to pull off first, so that they know exactly which way to go. You know, if you want to do it or you see them struggling, may I help you? You know, ask those questions. If they're like, no, I've got it.
Help grab the tray, if anything.
Or,
that way,
or move shit out of the way so they can set down the tray if they don't have little tray stands for them to do anything with that. There's one thing that I personally want to mention, just because one of the big things for me, obviously, as we talked about it earlier, and of course you're not officially keto unless you say it 3 times in a day.
True.
So number 2, I am keto. Don't lie about allergies. If you don't like a food item, tomatoes, onions, anything, don't lie about it and say it's an allergy. Just say, I don't want it. The reason for that is that if a server were to put an allergy notification onto a thing. Because, for instance, you might order something, especially if people who are allergic to like shellfish or something like that will order something that's not shellfish and say they have a shellfish allergy. The reason for that is that they don't want cross contamination
Or broth.
or broth or anything that could be within that realm. So if I say I have a tomato allergy, but I really just don't like tomatoes, this person who is cutting up tomatoes for, say a salad now has to go sterilize this knife to make something specific just for you, when really you just don't like the taste of tomatoes. And if they wipe down the knife with a wet cloth, you're going to be A-okay. Have you guys ever lied to a restaurant before saying you were allergic to something you weren't?
I have not. I know people who have. So there's that. Actually, just kind of when you bring up the shellfish allergy, my wife has an allergy to shellfish, and that situation kind of came up in one of those Los Tres Amigos, where it was told right at the beginning, there is a shellfish allergy. Do not have any shrimp in this dish. Mm-hmm. And the server, it was kind of like she was like, okay, but at the same time it was kind of like she was kind of giving the excuse that all the cooks back there are Spanish and I don't speak Spanish very well. I was like, well, then get somebody who speaks Spanish well and tell them don't put any damn shrimp in the thing. And then sure enough, that plate came back, and you better believe there was shrimp in that damn thing.
That's the worst.
It got sent back, and then it came back again, and sure enough, there was still shrimp in it. And it was just like, nope, we're out of here. This isn't going to work.
See, the only thing I don't like on my food is mustard. And that's and mayonnaise. I'm not a big fan of mayonnaise either. So, I can eat mayonnaise. Mustard, for some reason, just blows my palate out, so I don't like it. I'm kind of like an iron pit. Like, you can pretty much feed me anything, even Crustios, and it wouldn't bother me.
I definitely have a very, very specific, like, sometimes I always say like I have a palate of a child, but unless it's really like meat, cheese, eggs, I can't do anything pickled. So I don't like pickles.
'Cause usually pickled things are spicy too, which you don't like.
Yeah, I've never enjoyed like pickles in the first place, or anything else that's pickled, like pickled eggs or pickled, whatever else.
Cabbage.
It's just a weird flavoring. Usually it's, to be honest, you usually get like a vinegary type flavor.
Well, it's sugar and vinegar for the most part. Pickled eggs. Where are you seeing pickled eggs?
Oh, you've never seen pickled eggs
I've
before?
seen pickled eggs, but not since like 1997. Like in the dingiest, diviest bars.
They're still a thing. They're still a thing.
Oh, they're
that reminds me of the movie The Ladies' Man.
with Tim Meadows. Yeah. I forgot all about that movie.
Oh.
Now, looks like I got time for one more. And I still have like 10 on this list that I did a bunch of research for this topic because I knew we weren't going to have a guest today. One of the things that I do want to talk about, and again, kind of going back to the so Mark Vogus, as you were saying, it said ladies' man too. So great minds think, I guess.
So it's his excuse.
In regards to when you're leaving a tip, one of the big things you have to understand, and especially for me personally, I'm going to be completely blunt. If you can't afford a tip or refuse to tip, then you should never eat out, period. End of sentence, end of statement. You should not eat at a restaurant. You shouldn't go to a brewery, go to a bar if you're not going to tip. The reason for that is that as much as you are, especially if you're the kind of person and you go to a nice restaurant and you don't tip the employee, it might cost that employee money to serve you at that point, because that employee might have to tip out all their sales to the host, all their food to the busser, and all their drinks and booze to the bar. So at this point, sure, you're doing 20% to the server, but now the server has to go and turn around and do 5% or 8% of their booze to the bar, 2% of all their sales to the host, and another 2% to the busser. And at that point, now you're literally costing them money to serve them. And that is something you have to be, that's bringing it back to the whole bartender thing. If you're moving, sure, that bartender is going to see a little bit of that tip for the most part, But if you're moving from a bar seat to a booth, just cash out. You have to be able to tip, and we've created a culture in regards to tipping where it is a necessity now.
Yeah.
Now, there are places like B Nectar who have taken out tipping fully and pay their employees a proper wage. And if you want to leave a tip, it turns into a donation as opposed to a tip for the employee.
Oh, wow.
So if you leave a tip, it goes to whatever their monthly donation is. But within, reason, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to if you're paying attention. I'm reading the chat right now. Guys, we are live on Facebook, facebook.com/BetterOnDraft. You can join the chat. That's why we know Mark Logus is in the chat, as well as Jim Coleman has been in the chat chatting about his time over at White Flame. Just be mindful. If you can't tip, don't tip.
Right.
And
you mean if you can't tip, don't be there.
Yeah, if you can't tip, don't be there. Yeah, that's definitely what I mean. If you can't tip, don't be there.
Right.
Don't go there. Don't bother. Period. I think that's really it for this part of the conversation. We are going to take a little break. I should have set up the music, but we'll be right back with the Better on Draft podcast.
I'm headed for the city, trouble in my mind. I'm way too young and pretty for things to be unkind. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. I'm headed for the city to make me start again. Conversation now and then, gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I'm headed for the city, see what I can unwind. Always gotta start it to dictate, make it in this life. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. I'm headed for the city to make me start again. Conversation now and then, gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 These eyes ain't looking back home. No, I'm now by myself on this road.
And we are back, episode 165, Better on Draft podcast. Still sitting here with Matt and Rob, and as always, with segment 2.
Here is Robert with the Beer News.
Wow, just that abrupt. I thought it just like fades out. It just
No.
no.
Get to your fucking point.
Whoa! Damn. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with some news that kind of came out this week, which some people are definitely sad about it, but I kind of file this under another reason why I don't go up north. That's
Wait. Continue.
so the National Forest Service announced Wednesday that they're going to be prohibiting alcohol on a couple of the rivers that many people love to frequent, being the Pine, Manistee, and Au Sable during this summer. So between May 24th and September 2nd, alcohol is going to be banned on portions of those rivers within 200 feet of the rivers, and if violated, could cost a person up to $5,000 in fines or 5 years in prison, which apparently is the maximum penalty, which I don't know how far you really have to go to get your ass 5 years in prison.
What are you in here for? I took beer to a barbecue near a river.
Seriously. I mean, that is just like multiple offenses that
First
you
of
just
all,
keep doing that.
it'd be federal prison, not state, so it would
No.
probably not be that bad. It's not like you're going to the shoe.
But I mean, still, the possibility of 5 years.
5 years for drinking beer on a
For
river.
drinking beer in a river.
No, within 200
Within
feet.
200 feet, right.
Which is like half the state park, because where else are you going to barbecue? Always barbecue near the water.
I mean, 200 feet is pretty a decent size away from.
I don't really think it is.
I mean, 200. It's only like 50, 60 yards,
Yeah, and
or 70 yards. 70 yards.
70 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70 yards. So basically, the order does not apply to private land in the river corridor, developed campgrounds within national forests, or designated campgrounds. One of the forest supervisors had, there was a quote in the article that I was looking at. I think this was in, it was in a local NBC News article. Basically said the closure order is intended to address persistent public safety issues and protect natural resources on rivers of outstanding recreational value. Our goal is to create a safer, more sustainable, and more enjoyable experience for the thousands of visitors who recreate on our national wild and scenic rivers each year. So you're mad that people can't drink on the river now? I mean,
well, I am boosted by the following, that so much of the Department of the Interior is not being funded for whatever reasons you have. So there aren't really park rangers to go around and tell you can't drink if there isn't a park service to fund. So
now there is a petition. A petition was started the following day on Thursday.
Yes,
it was like by a river or a user called Our River. And tagged the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Forest Service, and the Michigan State Senate, and the USDA Forest Supervisor, and Senator Stabenow, and Senator Peters. Basically, this petition already has over 15,000 signatures.
that's it.
That's where it's sitting at right now. And basically, it is just simply to repeal the ban on alcohol in Michigan rivers.
Now, Michigan wasn't the only state affected by this, right? It was all federal or all national waterways. This isn't just like,
I mean, considering it's saying, you know, that article is coming from
National Forest Service,
National Forest Service, so that to me is definitely covering more than just Michigan. And it's just obviously the articles that are, you know, talking about the rivers that affect us and going after, you know, those three, at least those three in particular. And I don't know if there's any other. I would feel like if there was any other rivers that were going to be covered, that it wouldn't just single out just those three, and unless, you know, those don't necessarily touch national park areas.
I would assume there's definitely a rhyme or reason in regards to the rivers that they chose, and so it's because of probably issues that they've had previously on those rivers with people in intoxication.
because they're used to them.
Well, I'm guessing that there's, because I don't think that has the one that is up near Ludington that takes you right into the water.
I think that's the Manistee River.
Is that the Manistee River?
Yeah, and the Au Sable goes the other way, which is the one that everybody that I know of gets a canoe and they float down. Like there's
that river owes me a pair of glasses.
that river is literally like up north crack. Like you're gonna go there, you're gonna drink beer, you're gonna be on the river, you're gonna get sunburned, you're gonna go home with a hangover.
I've never actually gone and done this before, so
You've never done it?
I have never done it.
Super fun.
Done it twice. And
So I'm trying to pull up the name of the river right now over in regards to Ludington.
canoe tipped both times. And just kind of as a side note, I just cracked open it's called an Old Fashioned from Siren Craft Brew. It's actually, I think this just started getting distributed here in the last few weeks. And it's Old Fashioned. It's a bourbon barrel aged barley wine ale style ale that's with orange zest. Sits at about 11%. I just cracked the sucker open at room temperature, and it is absolutely amazing. I'm going to have to go back and go get some more of that. So if you guys want to try that,
Throw me
go right for it.
Definitely throw me
That's
a glass for sure. I'm looking at it. So Manistee River is north of the Ludington, like the national park or state park, whatever you want to call it, in Ludington. So yes, it is, but obviously it's in Manistee.
This is like the most anti-Michigan law I've ever heard.
It's a very, very.
They might as well
very-
say no more cars are allowed on the road.
seriously.
Can they ban
You're
Madonna
the-
instead? Can they ban Madonna?
Nugent.
I'll give you Kid Rock too. I'll parlay Kid Rock Madonna.
I mean, you're gonna go that far? It doesn't.
It's summertime in northern Michigan. All
All right, don't ever in your entire life around me ever quote any Kid Rock bullshit. Ever.
But yeah, I think when I talk to people who live in more hospitable climate places, the one thing I say is no matter how bad it is in the wintertime in Michigan, there is no season that is nicer than a summer in Michigan. By the lake with a beer. And if you are peeling away at the fabric of my life, I will rise up.
It's why you start a petition. Maya
So
Angelou.
I might have to be the Rosa Parks of this venture, and just get a 30-pack every day and roll down the ensemble, and try to get those 5 years.
Try to get those 5 years.
Nobody's gonna follow you with a boycott. I mean,
I got 15,000 people who might.
it's not gonna happen.
I was gonna say, at that point, do you think there'd be like a massive protest? Like, what are you gonna do? Arrest us? Arrest
What are you
all of
gonna
us?
do? What are you gonna do? You're just gonna do what? I mean, what is that? A canoe in? Like all of a sudden, your ass is everybody's going down in a straight line, and just rolling around with a 30-pack, just like sitting in the middle of the canoe.
I gotcha. This is what you do. You find the nearest piece of private property to where the federal land starts. You buy a pallet of Busch Light 30-packs, and you dam the waterway. And you make the rest of the river go dry. And then you wait the government out.
You're thinking really? I feel like this has triggered you more than anything on this show has ever
Right,
triggered
damn.
you.
I feel like this has hurt my soul.
I guess it doesn't seem that serious to me, but I guess that's the problem is that I mean the amount of times that I've ever gone anywhere past 23 mile is still countable on my hands.
Yeah, I mean, we can just. Ken, do you have any thoughts or opinions here?
To be honest, like it doesn't affect me at all. But in the same sense, as long like you should follow the same standard public intox laws of don't be stupid, don't be dumb, and that's it.
Don't dump your cans in the river.
Yeah, don't
Well,
dump.
I don't-
That's probably why
First off, I don't think most people do. I think I'm sure some people do, and it's a larger number than there should be. But I think most people who go canoeing, they take a garbage bag, they put all their returnables in the bag, because I mean it is Michigan. Those are 10 cents a piece.
They are.
And Mark actually just posted up the link to the petition. He says it's over 19,000 signatures right
Call
now.
1901.
So I mean, it's just. I think that the reason this was put out there is that people are fucking up. They're not cleaning up after their shit. I mean, if the river was clean, if they weren't running into cans of Coors Light, Bud Light, and whatever else is sitting there on the edge of the river, would this have even been a factor? Would have even just been sitting there and just thinking to themselves, you know what? We should just go ahead and put a ban on some shit.
Yeah, but at one point or another, you're still going to have these issues. Like, just because they're dumping it into the water doesn't make it any less or any more illegal. So it'd be the exact same thing as if I dump it on the ground next to a trash can. Like, it's still illegal for me littering in a state park or on a state river or on state-owned grounds. So
Or just why not? I mean, open intoxicant is a law.
Yeah.
Why not just enforce the hey Michigan? Just so you know, we're gonna give you an open intox ticket if you do it.
they're trying to make paper laws to enforce it as opposed to using police to enforce it.
What do you mean? So they're gonna mail me a ticket for getting drunk on the Osable River?
No.
Like they're gonna have those big cameras that or watch me go down.
No, it's a paper law like a speed limit. It's a law, and if somebody catches you, so you self put your own speed in regards to what you're going to drive, and if you're going to break the law, you're going to break the law, and if you're not, you're not. But at that point, you have enough people self-governing.
Okay, so your thought is it'll at least hinder some people from doing it, maybe not everybody.
Yep.
Okay. I would be interested to see at the end of the year in October or November what the statistics of people actually getting in any sort of infraction, civil disobedience, rioting, parking a bus on the Osable.
If anything, maybe it kind of goes back to your point about the parks being properly funded, and that helps. That actually catching them,
but also
helps with their funding.
If you're on the Osable River, if you own a party store up there, you make your entire year, those 8-12 weeks where people come up from up here or come up from down here, stop by a couple of 30 packs, stay at the KOA, do a float down, and come back.
Yep.
So you're also getting into small business pockets with this law.
I think there's going to be, in regards to the state itself, I think if there is, the issue is that there's not enough people, there's too many people like me that don't care. In regards to, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to fight it. I'll sign the petition because I believe in it myself. But it's Michigan living, but it's not Michigan living for everyone to care enough to do it. It's not like marijuana where there's more people that smoke marijuana than that go drinking down a river.
Well, it just needs it needs a martyr. I'm willing to take this one for the team.
All right, we're on episode 450 without Matt Bush. He's almost out of jail.
Oh my goodness. Oh, how are you? What do you think about the old fashions?
It was
It's
good.
Terrible. Honest to God, really sweet. I almost get like a maple in there.
It does have that sweetness that I think when you were talking about pastry stouts, that I was kind of thinking, I was like, if you like this, you may only have the one, or just really the half bottle and give the half to somebody else.
Yeah, I could barely do this 2-3 ounce pour that they get. I'm going to do it. I'm a champ. But yeah, this is definitely a little too much for me. Like the bourbon is so faint that all I get is sweet. And the sweet is almost it's not like a heavy sweet. It's just like a high sweet, like that like a maple, like
a syrupy sweet.
Yeah, like I feel like somebody almost put like syrup inside this beer just to add syrup flavor to it. I'm talking like maple syrup, not like syrup like
not like corn syrup.
Not like corn syrup, yeah.
Which kind of leads to the next story. Good job.
Are you talking about my little trip on Nick Drinks?
I am not talking. What? Yeah, that's right. You were
I
on Nick
was
Drinks.
on Nick Drinks.
That's right. What?
Showed up on there for a little bit of a minute. Nick couldn't pronounce my last name, which if you watch the end of that video, the bloopers is him trying to pronounce my last name. Sure enough, we go on TV20, WXYZ.
Not Thompson.
Yeah, it's not Keenan Thompson.
Keenan.
I know
it's not Ivory Wayans either.
I know who you're talking about too, and I
Williams.
Possibly. So he literally, I said my last name once and he got it like this. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So yeah, two completely different interactions, but obviously that's his job to be able to do that. That was a lot of fun doing that little new spot.
That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of build. It was like a roller coaster because you wait and you wait and you wait and then you're on, you're off, and you're like,
right. I mean, was it,
we're leaving already?
In comparison to when we were on Channel 7 with Justin Rose, how different was
We
that?
waited longer, and we were on for slightly longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting setup, to say the least. Everyone was very, very nice, very helpful over there. The little set prop guy was really, really nice in regards to getting everything situated. And we pretty much got everything situated prior. He rolled in a table. We did a little spot. We rolled out, and we left, yeah.
Speaking of which, this is the last weekend to subscribe to get your February My Beer Box. So head on over to mybeerbox.com.
That's mibeerbox.com.
mybeerbox.com. Find us on the Instagrams and the Faces of Books. You can shop there or at the website, mibeerbox.com. And if you use the code February, you'll get $5 off your first monthly subscription box. So
How do you spell February?
February. February.
I think that was 3 R's you put in there.
February.
Making sure you got that second R and you added a third R.
February. So use code February.
Are we still not telling people what
Yeah,
brewery?
you're gonna have to.
Is it just gonna have to wait
when you
until
open the box and
when you
figure it
open the
out.
box?
I promise it.
That hurts my heart.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
won't hurt your heart.
not even a little taste of what the coupon might be.
So the coupon, when you visit this brewery, you're gonna get a free flight. 6 samples of 2.5 ounce.
A flight on us.
Oh yeah, flight for being a subscriber to the box.
Yes, flight on us.
and
Not a
the-
free flight. Flight on us.
Sure. And
Nothing's ever free in regards to
Oh
beer.
hell no!
this establishment has a full food program, and I hear it is dynamite. So have a flight, eat a meal, have a couple of pints, enjoy yourself.
All right.
Fun little news thing too.
Fun
Yeah.
with flights.
Yeah, we have a new domain.
Do we now?
Yeah, if you go to mibeermap.com, it takes you to the beer map. So you don't have to go to betterondraft.com/mibeermap. You just go to mibeermap.com now.
Nice. Look at that.
So you can go visit, see our map, see what's coming up. They actually pulled our map for the WXYZ thing. Like
Yes.
when they did the little
TV20.
teaser, the TV20, they showed our little map in the corner, and you got to see all the breweries and stuff. And there was no real context to it.
No.
But
Right.
damn, there's a lot of
Just-
pinpoints in there. You're like, oh, okay. So, but they also pulled with the the border maps too. So
Yeah.
you saw a bunch of squares around the state, and I'm like, whatever, close enough.
That's cool.
No cigar.
Oh well. All right. So since we were, we kind of went into syrup.
Yeah.
But we kind of need to bring up the whole syrup thing because there was a little bit of a controversy that kind of came out.
controversy?
A controversy. Hashtag controversy. From a little debates that was started by Bud Light and their Super Bowl commercials as they dropped. And they took some shots at their competitors in talking about the fact that their beer does not have corn syrup as an ingredient. As they kept pointing out, what was it that was their ingredients, like the
It's water, rice, hops, and wheat, or something.
No, rice.
rice. Yes.
Water, rice, hops,
Hops
and
and
rice.
Yeah.
Water, rice, hops, barley.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, and pointing out that there's no corn syrup, which the corn industry was not very happy about that shot themselves, as they decided to tweet out, basically saying that corn. There's nothing wrong with corn syrup. We don't even understand, why you're even coming at us. If you want to have a discussion, I think the tweet basically said, we're basically right across the street from you guys. If you guys want to actually have a discussion about this, then, we can discuss the many benefits of corn. And even the vice president of the NCGA, I think that's National Corn Growers Association,
That would follow.
yeah. He basically came out and he was talking to Yahoo Finance about the ad, and he was saying that it implied that corn syrup was an inferior product and that other beers were doing something wrong because they used corn syrup in the brewing process
Instead of rice.
and basically feeling as if this was an attack. Even Miller Lite came out with a full-page ad saying, corn syrup we source it from America's heartland and helps make Miller Lite taste so great. And, it's unfortunate that our competitors' ad was an unnecessary hashtag controversy. Coors Light even came out. They said, yeah, we use corn syrup. It's consumed by the yeast during fermentation, never ends up in the beer you drink. That's just beer making. And now because of all of these critics and everyone coming back at Bud Light tried to do a little backtracking, which I always think is kind of funny because I feel like
Do the little soft shoe.
right, they do a little soft shoe, and you you purposely, I feel like you especially can't backtrack on 2 ads that you spent what, $8 million, $10 million to put on during the Super Bowl. And, they came back, they put out this tweet, which basically, it was like old parchment going back to the whole dilly dilly, mantra. And they basically said, in the Bud Light kingdom, we love corn too, corn on the cob, cornbread, popcorn. We just don't brew with the syrup, with what you also call dextrose. To be clear, we're not saying corn syrup is bad.
Yeah, they kind of.
I mean,
yeah.
You just came out with 2 ads that said that, implying that corn syrup is bad, but we're not saying that corn syrup is bad. We just don't use it in Bud Light. It's a less expensive ingredient, and we think that a quality light lager should only include the best ingredients.
Like rice.
Like,
Yeah.
But hold on, let me ask you: Are there rice paddies Are there big rice fields in America?
I mean,
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we produce rice. Now I'm fixing the camera.
yeah.
Because my thought is, it seems like corn is a lot more of a staple of the American agricultural scene compared to rice.
It's huge. I mean, from the syrup to, and the thing is that I feel like, in a way, Bud was trying to imply the entire
High fructose corn
high
syrup.
fructose. I felt like they were trying to imply high fructose corn syrup, which
Which,
of
yeah.
course is the worst.
What everyone's freaking
is
out about.
right? Which is the one, basically the one we should not be intaking from any of our foods. And I feel like that was their implication, was that we're going to say corn syrup, and everybody's going to think in the back of their head high fructose corn syrup, and try and get away from those beers to now come to Bud Light and start drinking, rice, water.
Vinegar.
Well, one of the big things too
Pour
is
better.
that along with in corn syrup, I know Adam Stout over at Aberrant Ales talked about it on one of the many posts in one of the many groups that are out there.
It's like the perfect name for a beer.
I know there's a few of them out there that I've noticed. I'm like, man, what? Like, I thought it was a fake name, to be honest. But yeah, you really just drove right into the skid with that last name as being a brewer.
Oh yeah.
And when you break down corn syrup into a beer itself, it's literally nothing. Like it does nothing. There's no real health changes or health concerns or anything like that. Like the chemistry of brewing the beer changes it so much that it's not going to do anything to be a pain in the ass. Now, I personally love the Dilly Dilly commercials. I think they're hysterical. I think in regards to like how they've like the little thing, because a lot of people, and we've talked about this on the show, in regards to marketing, they're not marketing towards the craft beer industry. No. They're not marketing towards you, maybe Matt, but not.
I don't know the last time I drank a Bud Light.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if I.
We'll have to. Last time you probably made us drink a Bud Light.
That might have been true. Yeah, or if there was like a one beer left in the fridge, I had a Bud Light.
You've given us more Budweiser that tastes like City Club.
Yeah.
Than anything. No. In regards to Bud Light itself, or in regards to it, like they're trying to pull people from Miller Lite, Coors Light, economic beers, Busch, Natty Daddy.
They're trying to get the 20, 21, 22-year-old person.
Well, that too, yeah.
Just the people who are won over by humor. Won over by humor.
Won over by humor, and like and still in the beginning infancy stage of drinking, allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, not everyone could start drinking when they were 18 like you could, legally.
Exactly.
In regard, again, they definitely missed the mark with this, and like I love their Game of Thrones commercial. Their Game of Thrones commercial.
I was lost. I thought there was going to be like a premise to it. It seemed like there was no premise.
No, it's just promoting Bud Light and Game of Thrones final season.
Which I think kind of fun fact is that when Game of Thrones decided to do that commercial, they insisted that the Bud Knight had to die.
Okay.
They insisted he had to die.
I never liked Game of Thrones, so
I like the show.
I tried a season and a half and I couldn't get it.
I've not watched the.
But I also don't like The Office, and apparently that's like
that does make you
blasphemy.
That is true.
Game of Thrones can be very difficult because there's too many story arcs, and by the time you're
I don't mind too many story arcs, so
I think it was very difficult when I was in the middle of watching season 3 and suddenly here comes the question. Oh, why are they doing this? Oh, well, and then you have to explain everything that happened in season 1 to everything in season 2 just to even get to the point. And it's like sometimes those story arcs get a little deep, but it's good. It's good. I enjoy it.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
What else we got in the news?
All right. Well, this was a good one that I just saw this one today. Of course, we've definitely heard the phrase "beer before liquor, never been sicker." Liquor before beer.
Liquor then beer.
Well,
You're in the clear.
Right. So, basically, a new medical study came out which broke up 90 people into 3 groups before they started drinking. And they factored with those groups. They factored in the people's size, age, and gender, and it concluded that the threat of crushing hanger cannot be removed by making sure that beer comes before or after wine.
Wine or liquor?
They were basically going after. It looks like that they were going after wine. It's kind of funny that they actually bring up liquor in the whole thing, but in a way, it seems like in everything in here that they are talking about wine, which I guess I kind of figure wine it's close, but not.
I've never I can't go from if I'm drinking wine's the only thing I've ever drank where that's the only thing I will drink. I can go from beer to liquor or liquor to beer, but when I drink wine, I can't deviate off of that.
Right.
I'm already knowing that I'm going to get some type of hangover just from the wine itself that I have to. Oh, wine does not agree with me.
Okay.
For those of you watching the video, you can see Matt gave a little face. Wine just does not agree with me. So when I want to do some type of liquor mixing, wine is the only thing I'll drink if I start drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been drinking more of it since number 3. I've been on keto. So
That's third.
He even had a skinny joke on the news on Tuesday.
I did. Well, I mean, this. I'm a little bit swimming in this shirt, but all
you could have always worn the beer box T-shirt that I gave you.
I could have, yes, but that's also in the wash right now.
Support the brand.
I support all brands. I've got the Better on Draft cap on. Where's your Better on Draft cap?
It doesn't have a thing for my hair.
A thing for your hair?
I can only wear fitted caps.
All right,
God, you're such
Kangol.
a pain in my ass.
Anyway, so as far as the groups, they had one group that consumed 2.5 pints of beer, followed by 4 large glasses of white wine. Second
Why
group,
gotta be white wine?
yeah, I know, right? I'm not even gonna get into that. So second group did the same thing, but in reverse order, and then the third group drank either beer or wine, but with matching alcohol levels, and then they brought them back a week later and switched them up. What I thought was pretty funny with this is I did not know that this even existed, but apparently their hangover severity was judged by the acute hangover scale rating. I didn't know there was a scale.
There's
rating.
a scale rating of hangovers?
There is a scale of
I mean, I could probably scale the hangovers that I've had in my life, but I could do 2. I'm not going to survive, and I'm going to survive levels of hangovers.
My level of hangover is I'm gonna take a nap. I want to take a nap. I want to eat something, or I just want to eat something and chug a coffee. There's one of the 3, or I'm good to go.
Yeah,
or falls dawn, which is the dangerous one.
The fall, yeah, that's definitely the worst. Is because you're going.
Oh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I passed out at 5. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's and I gotta do some research on that because I think it's one of those white paper research things that some doctors came up with. I gotta dig that up. So that's kind of that's it with that one. Kind of want to do one more. Real quick.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so
you control the news.
all right. I found
nothing.
this list on VinePair. It is a list. Well, it's they don't. I don't think they have. Oh no, they do have every state in here, but they sum up basically talking about the 5 most expensive and 5 least expensive states for a case of domestic beer. And I would like to see if you guys can pick out any of those. Hopefully that's not one of your questions.
What you said, the 3 or the 5?
So there's 5. There's a list of the top 5 most expensive states for a case of beer, domestic beer, and the top 5 least expensive states for a case.
Do you want to go high or low first?
Let's go high. Because I think we could name high a lot
Hawaii.
easier than low. Hawaii.
Hawaii is number 3 at $22.39. Alaska is number 1.
Oh, so you went with the
31
non-continental. That was smart.
$31.21.
I want to go California.
I thought he was about to say Canada.
I was either thinking California just because they tax everything.
I mean, yeah, if it's including taxes and stuff,
Does it include
California
tax?
probably.
California. I don't know if it includes tax, but California is not in either the top 5 most expensive or least expensive.
Okay, well, I didn't think it would be in the least expensive, anyways. In regards to most expensive, it's got to be something that's really, really crazy. You know what? I'm gonna go with Kentucky.
No.
Damn.
Maine.
No.
All right, let's get one more each because you got 2 wrong, I got 1 wrong, so I'm gonna go 1 more for me.
I got 2 right.
You did get 2 right. You did get 2 right. You also went with like the low hanging options of the 2, the non-continental.
Right.
So in regards to domestic, most expensive, I am going to say, let's do Washington.
No.
Damn. All right. So what are the other?
So
3.
Number 1 is Alaska. Number 2 at $26.68, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
That's
Number
next guess.
3, Hawaii. Number 4, $22.28, Montana. And number 5 at
The Prairie Lands.
$22.25, Tennessee.
Tennessee.
You were close. Kentucky. I
said Kentucky because I was thinking because there's such a large whiskey bourbon business in Kentucky, they would charge, try to hurt other
support the
industries.
brand.
Yeah, to support local brands. So in regards to cheapest,
I'll let you go first.
see, I was going to go with the Dakotas, but now I don't want to go with the Dakotas because of Montana and Wyoming. So I'm going to go with Pennsylvania.
No, Pennsylvania is $21.50.
Come on. This one should be number 1 with a bullet.
Number 1 with the bullet, go.
Wisconsin, baby.
Wisconsin is not in that. Top.
What?
Wisconsin is $18.22.
All right, so
You gotta go cheaper than that.
Cheaper than that.
How low can you go?
You know what? Nevada.
Nevada is not in there. Nevada is $20.96.
Tejas.
Tejas is $20.17.
We're getting worse.
All right, let's try one more each of us until we miss.
You need to get under $17 to even have a shot.
So I'm going to go with Alabama.
Alabama is 1965.
Fuck me.
So I'm still winning.
You're still winning.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna stick right in that neighborhood. Missouri.
Missouri is 1711.
Woohoo!
You're still not there.
Oh,
I said you need to get under $17.
All right, what is the 5 cheapest states?
5 cheapest, going from 5 to 1. 5th, it's a tie at $16.07. Kansas and us, Michigan.
Okay.
4th at $15.98, Rhode Island.
You see, so you went with Missouri, which is where Budweiser is. That was a good one.
and Wisconsin.
that's a good
with
one.
Miller Lite.
That's a good. Yeah, those
are good
ones.
guesses.
Come on.
3rd, and I'm really surprised with this one at $15.48.
Florida.
New York.
Okay.
I mean, with the expensive as things are in New York, I was not expecting that. 2nd at $15.32, South Carolina.
Well, I mean, there is a whole other state other than New York City.
New York City. Yeah, that's true. And number 1, the least expensive state for a case of domestic beer at $15.20,
Georgia.
Illinois.
Okay.
Really?
Illinois. Georgia is $18.81.
We all of our thoughts, theories, and everything did not come to fruition. There was nothing there. like minus Alaska and Hawaii for expensive. We just had zero idea where anything was.
I mean, but if you think Chicago's the biggest market, or in the Midwest, New York, and in out east, surprised California then didn't hit that list. But that was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with 5 questions with Matt Bush, Better on Draft Podcast.
Mama, please don't make me go. Yeah, I don't wanna go so far.
we are back. Better on Draft Podcast, episode 165. If you've been listening to that brand new music that we've been playing during our breaks, each and every break we put in a song. This week it's been Brother Son once again. They are part of the Ferndale set. You can go see them next month in Smalls. You definitely check them out over on Facebook. Brother Son, not the Brother Son. It's just Brother Son. So it's been a lot. I think our fans have been enjoying that music a lot more.
I think it's a hell of a lot better than
It's different.
It's different.
It's very indie music, but it's not overbearing or over techno-y or like I don't mind house music. Like I love that as background music, but not for a break, I guess. So we think the Ferndale set, you could check them out. They have plenty of different bands for you to check out. They're on YouTube. You can see their music videos. We appreciate their collaborations with us to allow us to use their music without having to pay them. And we appreciate that by telling you to go check them out. I'm actually going to go to that show at Smalls because all the music that I've been listening to from Brother Son's been a lot of fun. So if you want to meet me or see me, not at a beer festival, but drinking and enjoying some music, go check Brother Son out at Smalls next month in March. So
Smalls is where?
Smalls is in Hamtramck, yeah. I did go to Hamtramck last week,
I heard.
by the way.
Yes. I was told I should have come and visited you.
It was a lot of fun.
I heard.
I went to the second bar with other people that were not John Pipenbrock, and definitely a lot of. I tell you what, if I imagined what Midtown was 5 years ago, that's what Hamtramck is right now with all the fucking, let's be honest, white kids.
I mean,
and by kids, I mean 20-somethings, but still white kids.
It's the scene.
It's still cheap too.
It is still cheap, yeah. I had a Moscow Mule that was, I think it was like $10, but it was really fucking good. Nice. When you can make bad Moscow Mules, when I was in Arizona a couple weeks ago, hanging out with Dan, I went to the casino and I got a freaking tall 8-ounce glass that they said it was a Moscow Mule with no ice in it. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just serve me? Now, mind you, I got the drink for quote unquote free because my friend walked away with a 100-to-1 bet and he bought a round, so I just didn't care. But nonetheless, yeah, that is that's kind of how things go. But segment 3, Matt, welcome back. 5 questions.
We've been doing something, yeah.
5 questions.
We've always just been busy.
That's never a problem being busy.
No.
So tomorrow is a very important day.
It's 9/2/19.
Sure.
I mean, from
the 9th of February,
from a
2019.
European standpoint, yeah.
But it's actually the inaugural game of the Alliance of American Football.
Oh, the AAAF or whatever.
Yes, that is correct.
There are 8 inaugural teams, and I have.
I got one. I got one. That's all I got.
So I'm going to ask you. So I've got 4. So what's going to? You do have the mystery beer. So sorry for being scatterbrained. However many you get right is how many questions you'll be able to ask me. And
jeez.
They're all 50-50 questions. So we can go from there. So
all right.
Atlanta has a team.
Oh no!
Is Atlanta going to be the Legends or the Apollos?
Oh no! I'm like, man, I could probably guess cities. I don't know if I could guess like actual team.
Legends or the Apollos? See, I would lean toward Legends just because Apollos makes me think of Apollo Theater in Harlem, and that would feel like that should be a New York team. So
Well, what does Legends mean to Atlanta?
It's the strip club.
I wasn't going to go there. That was, I will admit, that is where my thinking was. I should be ashamed of that. But that's pretty much where I was going.
Ken, your partner says Legends. Are you going to agree with him?
I'm just going to go with Rob because I have no idea.
Ding, ding, ding. The Atlanta Legends. Orlando is the home of the Apollos.
Oh,
Orlando? What?
So the team in Memphis, will they be known as the Iron or the Express?
I love how you go like this. Like what? What does Iron have to do in Memphis?
Wait, the Iron or what?
The Iron or the Express? Which one will be Memphis?
See, Express, just, it sounds...
I have a feeling there has to be like a Pittsburgh team, and therefore that would be the Pittsburgh Iron or Indianapolis Iron for alliteration. Because Express, like what starts with an E?
But
Edmonton.
Memphis Express.
That's not in America.
It's just the way that kind of rolls off. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Express.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Pittsburgh's gonna be like the Iron or
Well, the Iron will be playing in Birmingham, Alabama.
Jesus.
Iron Bowl, Birmingham.
Yeah,
Oh
okay,
my
I got
God.
it. Yeah.
Express, the home of FedEx, is in Memphis, i.e., the Memphis Express
Express.
works.
You know what? That's so stupid that we were such wrong thinking still got us the right answer. Oh, that's the third question, Beer.
The team in Arizona, they're either going to be known as the Hot Shots or the Stallions.
Oh, it's got to be the Hot Shots.
Arizona, Hot Shots or Stallions. Hot Shots doesn't sound like a football
It doesn't, but
mascot.
But the thing is that so for the first two, every
makes sense
team
because, yeah, it's
every
hot.
team has been another city.
Correct. No,
So
yeah, so
the Hot
Stallions.
Shots has to be a team in the AA.
AAF.
Because here's my thing is that the only one that I know has a team is San Diego. San Diego has, I believe San Diego is home to an Air Force base. And to me, Hot Shots kind of points to, fighter jet pilots. So I got to ride with the horses on that one.
I disagree.
It's a weird ass thought, and considering we didn't even think about
all right.
FedEx being the home, being headquartered in Memphis.
All right, I'm fully disagreeing with you because I think no matter what, it's got to be. So we're doing a 1, 2, 3, not a 1, 2, 3 shoot, a 1, 2, 3.
All right,
1, 2, 3. Hot Shots.
Ken is correct. The Hot Shots of Arizona will be battling the Stallions of Salt Lake City, the Storm and Moon. Hot Shots are actually the firefighter troops that beat the wildfires.
oh,
They're like the first line of defense.
Oh my! Not that, if I would have known that, I would have been. Oh, California. That makes sense. We are terrible. We are so bad. It's good.
All right, so San Diego is the last city. Are they going to be the Fleet or the Commanders?
Oh, both of them sound like the base now. I'm like, he said Fleet, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, it's got to be Fleet, but then it's Commanders.
oh my God,
I don't even know what the other city is for.
Fleet or command? See,
If he would have said it was whatever the other city is,
Right.
we probably might have been able to guess it.
Commanders almost sounds like something in Virginia.
Like Cavaliers, Cavaliers and the Commanders.
Right. Fleet or the Commanders?
I'm not going to disagree. Whatever you decide, or do you want me to decide?
I mean, pretty much. I made the call on the first two. You got that one, so go ahead and make it on this one.
Shit. I'm going to go with. See, now all I have in my head is that Commanders is some Virginia team, so I'm going to say Fleet.
The Fleet are actually going to be playing in San Diego this season.
Oh, okay, we got that
The
right.
Commanders will play in San Antonio. So you are correct.
We were wrong on every single reason, but right on every single answer.
So I guess you get 4 out of 4. So you get 4 questions for the mystery beer. So
Oh my goodness!
rate beer.
Oh my
Not right
gosh,
beer.
like it
Beer
smells
Advocate.
so.
It is this one, right?
So it is the one that I poured you.
It's
Yeah.
really
Okay.
cold.
So I'm gonna credit this man because he has such a descriptive word
Oh
palette.
my God, there's so much caramel on the nose. On
Oh,
this.
So
yeah.
this person goes by Ayatollah Gold,
Oh,
and
Like
he
the-
writes on Beer Advocate: the smell assaults the nostrils with maple, sweetness just bouncing through as long as you can breathe it in. Vanilla, maple, caramel, and even an underlying hint of bread. I had to snap out of it and ask myself how long I was going to smell it. 4.5 out of 5. The taste comes in.
he hadn't even tasted it yet.
The taste comes in a lot more coffee forward, being somewhat of a disappointment right off the bat after I was smelling the beautiful sweet maple. It slightly transitions into a balanced and subtle maple, but if
I kind of want you to like read Untapped reviews now.
I would enjoy more. A nice roasty element to it. The bread presence shows itself near the back with a dry finish. 3.75. The mouthfeel is on the dry side
Oh wait,
for me.
he's rating each part. Oh no, he's one of those people.
Doesn't leave too much coating. It's thick for only being this type of stout, but thinner, and I'd like a little bit more maple syrup. I want something like this to coat the mouth with thickness, but instead it rather cuts straight through. 3.5.
Could you stop reading this like a romance novel, please?
Wasn't his full rating like 4.5 or 4?
Overall, it
getting
seemed
really
like this was one of all over the place for me. I really enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought. The smell was leading me to believe. That, without a doubt, was the most enjoyable part of this brew for me. 3.5.
So the smell was 4.75.
So what? Other than the review, what are you giving us? Is whether or not this is a national? Is this a Michigan beer?
This is a Michigan
craft
This
beer.
is a Michigan packaged craft beer. 8.3 IBUs or 8.3.
That's
ABV.
a good notification package.
Can I just waste the question right here?
You have 4.
We got 4.
Is this Roke's French Toast Devil Dog?
That wasn't really a waste of a question. You almost dropped the glass. Be careful with the headphones.
Yes.
So this is Roke French Toast Devil Dog. I haven't had this yet. This ain't too bad.
I actually picked this up on that Snowmageddon we had a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
and I just realized I wasn't going to drink the rest of it, so I figured I had 2 sitting in my fridge.
So we have a friend of the show who is now an employee, senior vice president of sales at Roke, and that is A.A. Ron.
A-A-Ron.
So Mr. Langtot
Mr. Tater Tot.
is over there, as well as someone who I've met plenty of times at beer festivals and have never been able to get on the show, and that's Chuck Osberger from Frankenmuth is now over at Roke. So they're definitely doing good. We're going to have Roke on within the next month and a half. I've been talking to John, bringing them on, especially want to talk about the whole right brain Roke conversion, commersion, whatever you want to call it.
See, because that was the thing for me, and I guess just going through my thought process, I can't any beer that says that they use maple syrup. There's very few that actually, to me, it tastes right. It always feels like it always has that. Well, it has that maple syrup taste in the beginning, and it just really fades off real sharp, like the Pigeon Hill, either of the your mom on French toast or the your grandma on French
I
toast.
left all the Pigeon Hill stuff here yesterday or last week.
No, hopefully it's still there. And I remember actually trying Roke's French Toast Devil Dog. It was probably about, I'd probably say it was almost when it came out. And it's just like between this and Pigeon Hills, the drop on the maple syrup is, to me, is like so much sharper on the Roke than it is on the Pigeon Hill. And it was like the moment I like the smell, on the nose, I didn't recognize that. I wasn't sure. It was like the second I took that when I took that second sip, that was my only thought immediately was Roke. And that's where I went. So I mean, yeah,
it's a good waste of a question.
You gotta produce the bottle as proof of my apparent one hit wonder genius of
I'll
pulling
turn that
off.
into a trophy for you. So, well, I guess since we got 10 minutes to blow. So I saw something on Thrillist, basically the 9 beer trends we anticipate you'll be sick of by the end of the year.
Oh, I can't wait because one of them is one of mine.
I actually think that most of these have already passed, but
There's one on there.
there's one
that
here.
I-
So number 1 is glitter beer. I think I've only seen it at one place.
I mean, Supernatural has had it, the Unicorn Blood, which I mean, is a really good beer. I mean, when we had them on the show and they brought it in, thankfully the glitter didn't get everywhere, but it was.
I think it got all over Matt.
It may be. But I mean, it was a pretty good beer. And then I saw a picture of somebody else making a glitter beer, and there was kind of the oh no, here we go again, and this style needs to go away. I'd agree. It's something for show. It doesn't seem like it's anything that's ever really going to take off. I'm not even sure who exactly they were even marketing glitter beer to.
Muggles.
I mean, if you're going to have a brewery that is going to be Harry Potter themed, sure, go ahead and drop that and, have that on tap on a regular basis. But if you're not going into that area, if you're not catering to, I don't know, the unicorn brony crowd for your brewery, it doesn't seem like it's something that is going to be enough that is going to take off, especially when you really, I don't even know, can you even bottle that in a way that
so.
that is going to be function,
at least supernatural? I don't think so, but I'm sure there's places that
I'm
can
sure
do
there's
it.
a preservative that you could, if you did it right to bottle, you could.
Like corn syrup. I don't know.
Why's it got to be corn?
No, number 2, the pathological obsession with newness. What's wrong with flagship beers? Why do we have to chase the newest, greatest?
We talk about flagship beers. We actually promote Flagship February on Better on Draft. So if you go to betterondraft.com, you can go to the Flagship February page, and you can find out. This is participation only, so if brewers contact us, they're definitely able to get on this list. So if you're a brewery or know a brewery that wants to be on our list, you can reach out to us. We'll put you on the list. And it's basically a promotion of like, hey, if you're at this brewery, you should check this. Are you waving to Dina?
No, I'm waving to Shyler.
Oh. Hi, Shyler.
Hi, Shyler.
You can actually get onto this list so that people know what your flagships are. And one of the things for me, especially for flagships, is that when I think flagships, I think of non-mainstream beers, but flagships are flagships. So for Old Nation, which is on our list, M43 is one of their flagships.
Yeah.
If you go to something like what's a brewery? Wow.
What were you?
North Center Brewing in Northville, Michigan. I'm done. See ya. Deuce.
Dun 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 dun. Mute. If you go to North Center Brewing over at Northville, Michigan, they've got plenty of beers to try. Obviously, going through their seasonals are more their flagships. They don't have a lot of flagships that kind of stay the same, stay the course. But if you go get like their nice bloobs, or what I think it's got, You're My Boy Blue, I think is the new version of it.
Yeah, they need to change it.
Or of course, the best beer that they make, the Ultraviolet.
Kids Kolsch.
What's that? The Cool Kids Kolsch.
Their ESB is super good too.
Their ESB is very, very good. The Ultraviolet, and what was so funny, and I don't know if I got a chance to talk about it on the show last week, but in Arizona, they don't make those types of beers. And I brought them Ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet.
It's the
And,
Imperial.
Right.
and now that brewery down there, the Shop Beer Co., which you can go check out, one of our, I think, 163.5 episode, you can check out, they're going to make an alt beer. And
that.
they're going to send us a copy. They're going to send us a few cans, and we're going to be able to try it in a couple months.
Changing the beer world.
I tell you what, all beers are so fucking good.
One hop.
Trend number 3 that they hope is going to die: crowlers. Now
That
I
trend
disagree.
just basically just started.
and I think crowlers are good because they're disposable, they're easy to fill.
Recyclable.
I feel like
yeah.
crowlers last longer.
Also, they're able to be bought on a boat. And in a
they
state
can
like
be brought
Michigan,
You won't catch me
like-
on a boat, but yeah, they can be brought on a boat.
in a state like Michigan, especially we were talking earlier about like, what's that shit?
State parks?
No, the state parks. Tubing.
Tubing.
Going down a river. That's why, to be honest, a lot of reasons why things like All Day IPA is starting to be canned as opposed to bottled.
Yeah.
Is that those beers are for parks, are for boats. And it's weird to think that you're bringing such a culture, but because, to be honest, in this state, we're on the water so much. Whether we're up north, we're on Houghton Lake, we're on Burt Lake, Mullet Lake, we're on any of the major 5 lakes.
Going to Putin Bay.
You need these cans as opposed to bottles. So
Number 4, the sellout culture.
Define.
Basically saying that just because a brewery's sold doesn't mean they aren't making good beer, and
I think everyone decides that on a case-by-case basis because nobody...
And I think it's just basically it's like with Wicked Weed. When they sold to ABV or ABI, that everybody was they're owned by Budweiser. I'm never going to go with there again.
Took a week and that was everything.
Yeah, it
was
took
fine.
a week, and then all of a sudden, I'm everybody's posting up on Facebook now that they're up at Wicked Weed.
I want to go to Asheville again.
It's this whole outrage that this outrage only lasts for a week, 10 days. And then suddenly it's, all right, well, it's business as usual. It's like they realize that They walk in a brewery. It's the same people that they were used to seeing the last 6 months, 2 years that they've been going there.
Now with
that are-
benefits.
That with benefits, they're making more money. They can, the people who own Wicked Weed can actually offer medical benefits and a 401k to his or her employees. It's the same people. And, there's this whole thought process that when ABI, Miller Coors, comes into town, that they take over the brewery and they're going to control everything that brewery does. And if that's in the contract, then you know what? That's what happens. But it doesn't seem like with a lot of the buyouts that happen that that's the case, because it's like the only thing that ABI, Miller Coors, Sab, Heineken, all they want is they want market share. That's all they want.
Yep.
You can make the beers all you want, and you can continue to make the beers in your market that's there. They just want the market share.
To be honest, if they made those beers themselves, nobody would buy them. They need the brand to create that market share.
Because nobody would honestly look at a case of Heineken looking on the shelf and wondering, why am I paying $10 more for craft Heineken?
If you like it, it's good beer. Trend number 6, they're hoping to get rid of pastry beers.
I'm not
No.
for that.
No.
Just quickly on to 7.
I like my sweet beers too much. No.
Forming lines at brewery bars.
Will always happen.
Yeah.
And lastly, second to lastly, talking about corn. We just did it. So,
I mean, it was done. It was a commercial. It happened. The responses came out. Bud Light had their backtrack. I feel like the issue's done. It's not. We're not going to sit here and talk about, what are we going to talk about? Corn syrup. We're going to talk about corn syrup.
we're going to talk about
What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about corn syrup.
Well, we'll talk about
Not
the
the
next
beer.
thing.
Not the beer. We're going
corn
to talk about
syrup.
corn syrup.
Well, the next thing we're going to talk about is, no one ever wanted for their beer to taste like a vanilla sundae with strawberries on top. Milkshake IPAs, go away or grow up. Or start drinking beer floats.
Remember how I said there was one on there that I believed in? That's the one.
And then, this one I'm sure you're going to love too.
IPAs won't die.
Well, no, but just the lactose.
A little lactose in IPAs.
And then here's the one that I think has never been, or this one stopped being a big thing like 3 years ago. The annual pumpkin beer freakout.
Yeah, that really went from hyper crazy to dead in a matter of a year.
Yeah. Thanks, Shipyard.
So honestly, Thrillist, I think your list kind of sucked today.
Well, hold on. We're before we leave, because I tried to pull up that list to follow through with you, but there is a Thrillist list from 2016, craft beer trends that need to stop.
Okay.
So we're 3 years later.
All right,
Have they stopped?
Yes,
so
I'm
this is going to
curious
be
of this
rapid
one.
fire. We got about 3 to 4 minutes.
Yep.
Number 1, treating canning as if it's a big deal.
What's canning?
It is.
Oh,
canning.
Canning.
Treating canning.
I
like it's
mean,
a big
straight
deal.
up from the Farmington underground canning and kegging, it is a big deal.
I don't know if it is.
I think it's a big deal in our state.
I think everybody cans.
Yeah, I think canning is a necessity, kind of like growlers are.
I agree.
I think we need to move away from growlers and move to crawlers.
There just needs to be better QA and a little bit more R&D with the cans to make sure they don't blow up.
Next, crappy beer selections at chain restaurants. When was the last time you guys went to a chain restaurant, like an Outback or a...
I got kids who basically will frown upon anything that is local, and all I get is Applebee's, Red Robin, or Chili's. And
They only order chicken fingers at all of them, so can't you just get chicken fingers?
I know. Sorry, Shyler. But I mean, basically, with those chain restaurants, I mean, they have a selection.
Yeah, they usually
But it's not much.
half the tap tower is macros. Then you might get like a Bell's and a Founders, and then a one-off.
I mean, if I'm with the kids, I'm not drinking when I'm around them anyway. So to me, it doesn't really matter.
I don't know the last time I was at a chain, so
Yeah, I'd have to definitely look at
B-dubs,
a
probably.
chain. Yeah,
For the
but B-dubs is a
B-dubs.
lot.
Yeah.
B-dubs has a lot bigger draft selection than any other.
I mean, when the B-dubs around here started having M43, it's like, all right, you're a little bit on the map, but you're messing around with
Next
stuff.
up, drinking local beer just because it's local.
I disagree. I think that's even bigger now than it was in 2016.
I think that's
Yeah.
a very Michigan thing.
You? Well, we're in Michigan, so fuck them.
I mean, I guess you look at it and see how many breweries we had in 2016 as opposed to what we have now.
I think it's a Michigan thing because that's what we do in regards to products. We love Coney's. We love Detroit-style pizza. We love Burners. We love Faygo. We love Better Made. Like,
I don't really like Detroit style pizza.
well, I mean, you're just wrong. That's just
Right?
okay.
No, but I mean, in theory, the amount of breweries in 2016 versus today it's a much smaller number. We have more breweries now than we did in 2016.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that says right there that the call for more
we're
local
drinking more
breweries
local. Yeah, we're drinking more local.
has increased.
Looking at the shelf, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty local in regards to what we have on here. Minus a couple bottles. Fetishizing IPA freshness.
Still happens.
Still happens.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Yep. Beer with off-the-wall ingredients.
Happens even more.
was gonna
Litter
say,
beer. We just talked
I mean,
about it.
even from 2016, all you got to do is look at Right Brains, Mangalitsa Porter, Pig Porter. I mean,
That's still the only beer I've ever seen in a category at the World Beer Expo where there was 3 beers, they award 3 medals, and they only awarded 2. They decided not to give a charity medal to this beer, and that's how bad they felt that beer was.
I mean, it's a beer brewed with pig heads. Obviously, you with stuff that is brewed with, you can brew with today. I mean, it's kind of tough going more off the wall than that.
I should try a little more. in
Didn't they
regards
just
to-
do like a vagina yeast beer?
Yeah,
at the end of last
not
year?
not at Right Brain, but
No.
Something like Heineken, somewhere in Stockholm
It was
or
like
somewhere,
Sweden. Yeah, it was Sweden.
Norway or something.
Yeah.
And this is one I think we've seen price gouging for popular beers. I think
Absolutely.
has been downsized. I don't think it's gone, but I think it's downsized.
It's still that extra buck.
I think so because places are getting called out, and more people are kind of exercising their, I don't know if you want to call it their Facebook privilege or Instagram privilege of like going to these breweries and saying, hey, this dude is trying to sell your beer for $4 more, or they're just calling out the people themselves, and they have no choice but to either sit there and take the shit or try and bring the price down.
Well, what you're talking about is M43 when that came out. But I think
Oh yeah.
I think Old Nation had a desire to keep the price controlled more than any brand I've ever seen in the past. Most people were like, as long as it's in the market, that's all we care about. We don't care what
Yeah.
the price is. Old Nation came out with if it's more than this, we're physically going to not sell it to you anymore, which in the 3 years I sold beer, I wish people would have had that. I wish Miller would have come to some of my stores and said, I'm not going to sell you any Miller Lite if you're going to charge $15 for a 12-pack. Because that would have saved me a lot of headache.
And I tell you what, while we have archived our first 70-ish episodes on our show, you can still get Old Nation episode number 61, which you can learn about Travis saying, I don't know what M43 is going to do. Boy, that.
When he brought the bottles.
Yes, he brought glass bottles. So we got a couple more. We're going to roll through this real quick.
Right.
Reduction in the quality of craft beer. I think we have seen terrible craft beer come out because people are able to open up breweries just because, but I don't think we've seen a reduction in the overall quality.
I agree.
I agree.
Getting caught up in
Hold on, but though, isn't this a list of trends they want to go away?
Yeah.
So they want the reduction of craft beer being bad to go away?
Probably.
So I think they got that.
I know who you're thinking of.
Double negative, turned to triple negative. Sorry.
Oh, man, that was a shipwreck. Getting caught up in the hype of certain beers.
That hasn't died.
Yeah, that'll never go away.
That hasn't died. There's always going to be the beer that doesn't come to Michigan, and
Here's
there's always going to be the hype. There's always going to be the hype for it.
until it comes, and then nobody
And
cares
then
about it.
nobody comes because Hoof Hearted is now here in Michigan.
I still haven't bought a can.
I
never cared about it anyways. Sexist beer labeling. I think that's pretty much a dying trend.
It's
Now it's
thanks
for
to
sure.
the BA. Yes, it is. It's not gone because there's still. I feel like there's probably still quite a few that are still out there, but I think it is a dying trend.
Until that beer label starts changing, though, because there's still going to be people, especially those who are in distro, that keep the name of their beer out there, even though they could easily just change it. Like if they're raging, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what the photo is on this
Oh,
thing.
is it?
It's a bottle of 2 bottles of Raging Bitch, and a guy. Literally, the guy is holding 2 bottles and looking at a girl like, "What?"
Yeah. So
that isn't suggestive at all.
I think that's a dogfish head, isn't it?
That is a no. Flying dog.
Flying dog, yeah.
Why don't they C&D each other? Flying dog, dogfish head, flying dogfish head.
The new brewery by Sam Callione and whatever flying dog.
Oh.
The Flying Dogfish Head.
Only if there's a flying hog.
Actually, can I name a brewery Flying Dogfish Head? Hey, there's no confusion with either of you. This is my own brand, FDH. But until those brands start changing their name, I don't think it's fully going to go. I think it's one of those things that someone's got to set an example.
All right. We got two more before we go on break. Before we go on break, though, don't forget, or break, we're done.
Yeah.
Check us out, facebook.com/Better on Draft. You can find us on Twitter, Better on Draft, Instagram, Better on Draft, Untapped, BOD, BOD, Podcast, as well as you can find us betterondraft.com, mibeerbox.com for your monthly swag crate. You can find everything that we do, the mibeermap.com. You can actually see our beer map at mibeermap.com. Here's the last two, and I think these have not died. Tasteless low ABV session IPAs.
I don't know if they're tasteless.
I don't think session IPAs are going to go away.
I mean, they're not. I mean, you look at all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a point where they're making all day it's contract brewed in Colorado to cover the West Coast. That ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It ain't going anywhere.
And one, kind of bringing full circle just because Zach over at Urban Rest Tricks Magic, overdoing nitro taps.
What the hell's wrong with nitro tabs?
Nothing. And the Scotch Ale on nitro tap over at Urban Rest is amazing. And we had I had left hand milkshake or milk stout on hand pull over in Arizona. Oh my god, it was so good. And what was crazy is that the prices. So first of all, I'm drinking pints of Rogue Hazelnut for $3. I'm drinking hand pull pints of Left Hand for $4. I went to the Shop Beer Co. The rules of beer are so different in Michigan than it is in Arizona. Like, we can't bring glass outside in Michigan. And I'm like, here I am. Somebody's pouring me beer over at the actual brewery. We went to the Shop Beer Co. in Tempe. Great place. Amazing beer. Dolphin Diver is their New England IPA, which is a really, really good beer, and which is saying something because I'm not a.
So it's terrible.
No. It was actually really solid in regards to what it was. Like, it wasn't like, oh my. It's one of those, like, I don't think it was great, but because I can taste what it is, I know exactly what it is. Like, I know what it's trying to be. So at the Shop Beer Co., they're like, oh, yeah, just take the glass outside. And we're like, take the glass outside? What do you mean? You can't do that. Do you have a plastic cup? And they're like, no, just take the glass outside. So we took the glass out. It's just a weird feeling when you're in a different state and they have
Like a
such
pint glass.
like a pint glass,
Okay,
like a
not
physical,
like a bottle of beer.
not a bottle, but a physical glass, like you know,
A physical glass pint.
physical
of beer.
glass of beer.
Different rules.
You know, not a plastic glass, a glass, and they just like, yeah, just take it out there.
See, and I guess going back to the nitro thing, I haven't had enough beers on nitro to think that is overdone. I mean, one of my favorites is actually from Eastern Market Brewing Co. and their strawberry milkshake IPA on nitro, because that damn shit is so damn smooth and creamy. I mean, basically,
clear.
for those of us who are lactose intolerant, if you go back in the day of, we don't have to go back to the 70s, since, Matt loves to go that far back.
He's the one who's been making age jokes of late.
If you want to go back to the late 80s when your ass could go to the store and your mom could buy you a canister of the strawberry quick and you could make that shit. I mean, that the first time I actually had that strawberry milkshake IPA at nitro, it just reminded me of the strawberry quick, and that shit is amazing. So, there's those that are in nitro that I'm okay with, but I haven't had enough that I feel like it's tired out.
So I guess that's going to do it for us. Better on Draft. Matt, Rob, good to see you. We will be back next week in our Detroit studio.
Next week is Grand Rapids, isn't it?
2 weeks is Grand
Oh,
Rapids.
no, we'll be in Grand Rapids, Detroit next week.
We will be in the Detroit studio with Founders.
Yes, we will be.
So we will be there with Andrew and Kevin DeVries. Alex and Kevin DeVries. Sorry. Alex. Alex and Kevin DeVries, we will be there. Kaylin is bowing out. She is going somewhere Saturday morning, so she is not going to be able to make it. But alas, we get Kevin DeVries instead, which, I mean...
Do we get to ask them the tough questions?
We get to. Well, we get to ask questions like, how does it feel not to be craft beer? But we are going to start the show.
I'll bring the best ice.
Prior to the show, we're actually going to be at Founders Detroit, and we're going to be hanging out. So if you want to come, I tell you what, you come, you see me. Obviously, we're on camera right now. You can find me over at Better on Draft, facebook.com/Better on Draft. I will buy you a pint. So if you're there Friday night while we're there pre-gaming before the episode, I'll buy you a pint. Just come over to Founders. I don't care what it is.
Damn, son.
Tier 3, go for it. On me. But you got to be there. That's going to do it for us here at Better on Draft. Thank you to our sponsors, the Ferndale Set, North Center Brewing, and Zatuna Liquor. Don't forget, you can find us on all the socials, Better on Draft, except for Untapped, which is Bod Podcast. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft.
Oh!
Have a good night.
Peace.